Crises often further undermine the situation of already vulnerable people. In such situations, humanitarian organisations have a lot of power. It is important for these organisations to use their power and resources responsibly. For example, by giving affected people and communities a voice and the means necessary to hold the organisations to account. The CHS Alliance, established in 2015, brings together more than 2 decades of experience in quality, accountability and people management. Central to the work of the CHS Alliance is the Core Humanitarian Standard, a set of 9 commitments that organisations and individuals involved in humanitarian response can use to improve the quality and effectiveness of the assistance they provide. When disaster strikes, solidarity pushes us to share our resources and expertise, hoping that our contribution will be meaningful. Sometimes, however, there can be a mismatch between what we want or can offer and what is most appropriate or needed. To ensure humanitarian response is appropriate and relevant, make sure you analyse the context as well as the needs and capacities of communities. In order to be effective, humanitarian response needs to be timely. In some instances, it means as quick as possible. In other instances, it means matching seasonal calendars or simply keeping deadlines shared with communities. Even with the best intentions, our actions can have negative consequences. Before planning and implementing a humanitarian response, ensure that you minimise the negative consequence a response could have on the local economy and livelihoods, the environment, people's safety, or social cohesion. Think about how to increase collaboration between local, national, and international actors, and how to strengthen local capacities. Knowing what humanitarian organisations have committed to enables communities and people affected by crisis to hold these organisations to account. Make sure you engage with communities by sharing information in languages, formats, and media that are easily understood, culturally appropriate, and accessible to all, and encouraging them to give feedback. If, despite of your best efforts, something goes wrong, communities and people affected by crisis should be aware of and have access to safe and response complaint mechanisms. A humanitarian crisis can be chaotic and confusing, especially with a multitude of organisations responding at the same time. Communities and people affected by crisis should receive coordinated, complementary assistance. So ensure you know who is doing what. This way, you can reduce the demands on communities and increase the impact of the response. It is normal to make mistakes, especially in complex environments. However, communities and people affected by crisis expect to receive quality assistance as organisations learn from experience and reflection. Before designing your programmes, ensure you take on board lessons learned from similar crises and contexts. Listen to community feedback to adapt what you do, sharing your learning with others so they can learn too. Competent, well-supported staff can fix a poorly designed plan. But even the perfect plan is unlikely to succeed if you don't have people with appropriate values and skills. Ensure your staff are supported to do their job effectively and are treated fairly. In order to ensure humanitarian efforts are effective, aid organisations need to manage and use resources responsibly. This means, for example, minimising waste, taking measures to limit the risk of fraud and corruption, or considering environmental impact when using local and natural resources. As a core standard, the CHS outlines the essential elements of principled, accountable, and quality humanitarian action. Being accountable to affected populations and staff can transform the way aid is delivered. Achieving this is simple, and the CHS Alliance is here to help you. If together we commit to putting the core humanitarian standard into practice, we will make aid accountable to the people who need it.